suck again. Welcome to the Arkansas basketball recap. I'm Dana Price. That's Jacob Price. This is our cousin Kevin Fitzsimmons joining us on the pod.
I'm here
because we needed to have something different. Because getting decimated on the boards is nothing new. So we decided to mix it up for you to have something new for you guys to listen to. Arkansas falls to the South Carolina Gamecocks by a score of 77-64. Trailed the entire game. Never led even once. And quite truthfully, by about halfway through the first half, I was pretty certain we were going to lose this game by just the energy that the team had and how badly out-efforted we were getting. And you kind of had a little bit of hope, Texas A&M game, but for whatever reason, this team they lack so much physicality that a dude can come in who's plays 5 minutes a game and get loads of minutes because he's just physical, which means he can just bully everyone. And it was the physicality just on the boards, the physicality on defense it's really bad, and the physicality on offense is bad. We can't stay in front of people, we can't go around people either, and we don't collapse defenses, we don't drive and kick. For us to win games doing things the way we do them, we will have to shoot a super high percentage on much more difficult shots than the other team gets much better shots than us consistently. And
dude, it's becoming, it's a terrible team to watch. Like right now, these games are so ugly because is there one thing of the multifacets of basketball that this team does above average? I'm not even talking about great, but
block shots, but that's also killing them because everyone tries to block a shot, and then there's some guy leaves a place he's supposed to stay to try to block a shot with another guy, and then that guy gets the ball, gets a rebound, dumps it back.
You're quickly learning that the leading the country or whatever in blocks only works if you play defense well the rest of the play. You lead with blocks, but everyone's still scoring all
the whole reason we lead the country in block shots is because that's our only defense in the post, is to we're not going to do anything else other than try to block your shot, because for sure you're going to back me down, put your shoulder into my chest, and I'm going to foul you, or you're going to just overpower me and put it in the hole. Our post defense is bad. Our physicality is bad, but it's exacerbated by the fact that nobody can stay in front of anyone. And so there's also a lot of when there's a lot of opportunities for blocks when guards are blowing by perimeter defenders.
The thing is that they play so. This is maybe the most disappointing thing. And dude, at this point, I'm sorry, Musselman has got to take some responsibility for this at this level. He's not. Because I think one of the things, tell me if I'm wrong here, one of the things that's more frustrating about this team than some teams in the past when we haven't been good, and I'm not talking about pre-Musselman, before the transfer portal, it happened. It was always a crapshoot. It's did you recruit enough players out of high school, and if you developed the ones you got, do you have a good team? And sometimes you roll them out there and you're like, we just don't have good players, we don't have a good team. This isn't a players issue. There's talented players on this team. There's talented guys on this team. These guys they don't gel together. They don't work hard. They're not smart. They're not smart on offense. They're not smart on defense. They don't appear to have very good instincts defensively or blocking out for rebounds. And I think that makes it more frustrating that they're not, despite Musselman, we believe being a great coach, they're not even improving.
No, I think that they don't have you have a collection of pieces that could all work on a team, and because they're all talented guys. It's not a talent issue, you're right, but there's not enough grit on this team. There's no continuity in it at all. Every team you see play us looks like they know each other a lot better. And you might be like, well, that's because we got every team has a bunch of new guys. That's not it. The transfer portal, we're not the only ones using it. So, but for whatever reason, these guys are not They don't click, and they don't do, it's not just that it's effort. Sometimes it's effort, but they don't have like a physical mindset on this team. It just doesn't exist. They're just not like that. And
but the thing is, these guys aren't like some teams. They're not playing lazy.
that's what I mean. It's
Their
not
energy is in the wrong, like I mean, it's a bad analogy probably. It's like they took their motor and they put it on the side of the boat and they're having it cranked up to 1,000,000, but they're going slower than they should be, putting out as much energy. It's like you need to use the energy smarter. What I mean is like stuff like I think it was Brazil or somebody, but like jumping out at a shooter that's like just caught the ball and he's turning and you're jumping out at him and it's like trying to keep him from shooting a 16-foot fadeaway from the side. And instead, when you land, he just goes, oh, well, I guess since you just landed one with your hips turned with me being olayed to the basket, and now you're almost on top of me, I can literally take one dribble and it's a layup. And it's like, that's high school level ignorance of deep, like, why are you jumping out at a guy? What's like layup? Do you know that layups are harder than shots? So like, you don't want to give guys good looks, but our guys don't ever feel like they do the calculation where it's like, okay, guy behind me, guy right here. And you'll see them go to the guy that's out there. It's like, you can't leave a guy under the basket. I know that guy's open, but this guy's got an easier shot. Like, you got to at least make them take the hardest shot that you're capable of making them take. And all the time, it feels like we're making very stupid decisions. But like I said, playing hard, it's like, oh, I'm going to jump out at that guy because he's open. It's like, but you made the wrong decision.
Well,
you left the guy cutting down the center for the dunk.
You know, when you like grip on offense, like, or when players do, like, where you're like, he's trying to do too much, right? Like he's trying, like he turns the ball over, maybe missed a couple of shots, and now he's like trying to do too much, and so you're making mistakes because you're overthinking what you're doing. To me, like on defense, a lot of the mistakes look like they're overthinking it, where they're not playing. Like, defense is like instinctual, and especially for a team defense, and you have to trust each other. And to me, it seems like a bunch of guys that, like, they've been preached to, no doubt, like the last few weeks. Our defense has to be better. Like, we can't get blown by. We got to block out. And like, everyone is like overthinking it. And like, you see them gripping on defense, where it's like, why are you doing that? Well, because I need to be putting forth defensive effort. That's why. And you're like, okay, but that's kind of just what you said. But like, you're overthinking. Like, you're not playing instinctual defense, and that they're not playing instinctual offense either. You can't win then. Like, if everything is like, every possession seems like they seem so tense. And
well, yeah, to me, they look, and I'm not trying to indict their intelligence, but they look confused all the time, like on both sides of the ball. The offense, when they catch the ball, they look like, and by confused, I just mean everything looks too deliberate. Like, they don't look like they're ever just moving and flowing and it's instinctual. Everybody's like, am I in the right spot? Oh wait, where should I go? And honestly, a lot of times they look like they're just like, there's so many times where they get distracted ball watching, and then somebody back cuts them and they're like, oh no. That happens to Brazil a lot. It happens to Graham a lot. It happens to Ellis a lot. And Ellis played a little bit better than he has been, but like, there was that one play, it was him and Brazil's fault, but it was just a secondary screen where the big man came up and screened Ellis's man, and he went around, and him and Brazil didn't talk to each other at all. Yeah. And like, it literally ended up in like a dunk. Well, Brazil just stayed behind his man, and Ellis got screened, and then the other guys was like, oh, I'll just go right down here and dunk it.
We gave up a layup on a junior high inbound play.
Yeah, that's it. I was thinking of that play exactly while you were talking about that. I was like, I can't imagine how these guys are just so out of position. Like,
dude, my 10th grade daughter is getting yanked off the court and not ever going back in. If that happened, like that, you have to communicate. Like, what are you both going up? What are you doing? Like that's an insane play.
And it doesn't look like, the announcer said this, but I agree with him. Like, it just looks like they're not communicating with one another. Because like you said, on that play, it was just somebody setting a simple down screen, and Ellis, I think it was Ellis and, I think it was Mark.
It was Menafield.
Was it Menafield? But
I think it was Devo and Menafield.
one of them had to switch,
Mhm.
and you only know to switch when you communicate.
Well, you either switch or stay, but like, you know what most teams know, including like maybe even like a junior high basketball team? They already know what they do in those situations, like inbound play. Do you switch or are we running through it? Like, you know that already. Like, you already know what the play is there. Like
I'll be interested
It's
to
like-
watch Muss's press conference. I haven't watched his post-game press conference, but
I mean, you know how this goes, right? I mean, we play basketball. Like, you play a team, they're setting screens. You say, hey, do you want to switch screens or do you want to like fight through screens? How are we doing this
Yeah.
game? Right?
well, and sometimes you don't have a hard and fast rule, but sometimes it's how good, is the guy at getting around the screen and how well was the screen set. And sometimes, usually it's the guy who's on the ball that has to say switch, and he's got to let the guy know whose man is setting the screen.
Mhm.
I can't get around this. I'm going to be vulnerable to the 3-point shot or whatever, and you got to jump out. And if you don't, and the guy just stays behind, and the other guy just goes around, and you're both guarding the same guy.
Yeah.
And that happens to us quite a bit. And those same things are also, I think, have to do with our rebounding woes, which is these guys don't seem to have very good noses for where to put their bodies and they're distracted. They don't see the whole court. You know what I mean? Like, they might be boxing out their guy, but they don't see that somebody else had to switch and dive out at somebody, and there's going to be someone else coming in, and maybe I should step over or and help. I don't know, and because I can't believe that some of these things aren't getting fixed.
I don't know if they're fixable. I don't think you can,
You can't get back on defense. Like, dude, that time where they just threw the ball up to, like, they got a
Yeah.
layup on a full court.
I just mean that, like, I just don't know if like defensive intelligence and certainly physicality. I think at this point in someone's basketball career, there's a little bit of you are who you are. Like you can get better, of course. Like, guys get better, but they get better within the confines of like kind of who they are. Like, I mean, I know guys that play basketball a long time that are good basketball players that will never ever be like play physical. They're never never do it. I know guys that
But Devo
are
can play
super
physical.
well, he's one of the guys that can, but I know guys that are really good basketball players that are just defensively not, or don't have great instincts, and they're maybe they're great shooters or whatever, but and they've played basketball longer than these guys have, and they just never had that.
Well, I'm surprised. This is one thing I have no experience with, and I have no idea. Maybe this is super difficult, but I'm surprised with all these guys. I mean, with the exception of Mark, who, even though he actually made some boneheaded plays today.
He was
on
he was
defense.
trying. Well, he was trying to
On offense too, but on defense, I mean, I'm talking about stuff that's uncharacteristic of him, but he does play pretty good defense. Other than him, though, I mean, Battle is a disaster on defense and all these facets that we're talking about.
He will guard. He'll be like, all right, coach, let me show you. And he'll be like picking a dude up 35 feet from the basket, guarding the wrong side of him, like shading him the wrong direction. It is wild.
So, like, Ellis is similar. Brazil, I'm sorry, Brazil. I watch him on every play. Like, he's a dum-dum. He's just, just gifted, and it's a good thing because he's never knows what's going on. It doesn't seem like. And Graham's very similar. I guess what I'm saying is, how difficult do you think these aspects of basketball are to see on film? Because they don't seem like they would be that difficult to notice. And it seems like I said, a guy like Battle, you might go, okay, say you had last year's team. You're like, I got freaking defensive ballers, and I got length. I got these freaking spider guys everywhere. I can afford to take this guy because he's a great offensive player, and he'll mix in and it will make up for his mistakes. But you can't have a guy like Battle and then 4 other guys like Battle. And you can't have big men that like aren't tough. And you can't have everybody be a finesse player that doesn't know how to play defense. And to what degree do you think like that should have shown up? And like, why did you pick these guys?
Here's what I think, and I want to hear what Kevin thinks. We'll just like have him on the podcast to look pretty.
I do look pretty.
Yes. I think
The
that
only one representing Arkansas. I'm not wearing Arkansas.
I'm wearing an Arkansas hat.
I kind of thought I had to.
Back.
Come on.
No, I'm not wearing any more of their merch until they do. They don't have to win, but they have to do one thing good.
Besides block a shot.
I don't care about block. I don't think blocking shots is a good stat when you're losing by 17.
It's not.
I don't care. You can block 1,000 shots. You lose by 17. I don't care.
I mean,
I want you to rebound and play defense.
They would have went from shooting like 57% to like 65%, you know, so. I think if I was, this is all speculation, but if I had to guess, it's this. You go to two back-to-back Elite Eights in the Sweet 16. The complaint about your team, and actually every team kind of that he's had, is that they can't shoot the ball well enough. Like, it's always like, man, you know what the missing ingredient is? We just don't have any perimeter shootings. So he went out and got guys that could shoot. So, you know, Battle can shoot, Davenport can shoot. And he thought, hey, I've got Devo potentially coming back, who's an all-league defender. I'm going to bring in Tremont Mark, who's known as a defensive player. He wasn't like an offensive player. He averaged like 10 points a game at Houston. I'm going to have those two left-handed guards, and they're going to like shore up the defense there. We're going to have good perimeter defense. I'm going to bring in L. Ellis, who's like averaging 17 points a game at Louisville and is a scorer. And then these other two shooters. You didn't see enough of Brazil to possibly maybe not like last year to maybe be like, I don't think we saw these things because we didn't see him enough. And some of them I think were hidden by like the amazing defense of guys like Jordan Walsh and Ricky Council and Anthony Black.
I'm starting to think even Devo Davis was like, I think Devo Davis is maybe he regressed a little and he might be in a little bit of a funk, but it feels to me like he was maybe a good defender that when he was surrounded by guys that knew how to play, when he did make a few of these mistakes or chased a little or tried to, you know, make him cheat a little bit, and you know, it got covered. It didn't turn into a layup because somebody stepped over and then just kind of got like mixed into the wash and you didn't see his mistakes as much. This feels like every single mistake. If you make a defensive mistake and a guy gets around you, it's a layup with these guys. Yeah. Like nobody's helping you, or they're not going to help. If they do help you, they're going to get a 3. Like they're never doing the right thing for you.
Yeah, because you didn't have Brazil on the floor really that much last year, and so we did good on rebounding because you had guys like Jordan Walsh grabbing rebounds all over the place, Anthony Black getting double-digit rebounds every game from your point guard spot, and so as you're trying to figure out what's the thing that we need to get us over the hump, I think he over added the thing and didn't realize that like. Actually, like the physicality is going to really suffer. And you added like lots of length, but no beef. And like, and we're really paying for it. And it's not that you don't have to be a beefy guy to be physical. I've said this before, but like guys like Jimmy Witt were like, they aren't beefy. He was super physical. Jordan Walsh, super physical, but these guys aren't. And I would guess that is not going to do that again.
Dude, even Ricky Council, like those guys would attack people's bodies.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, or how much would I get for just even Barford?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like somebody who just like puts his head down and just runs guys over and makes them. I mean, the only guy we have that's at all like that is Mark. And he's 170 pounds. So it's like not quite as good when he has to make some tough shots because he's not going to bowl anyone over.
Yeah. Yeah. Kevin, thoughts on what I just said?
Yeah,
I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think I 100% agree, and I would even add that, you know, I read an article one time that just called the transfer game, the portal game, is just a dangerous game to play. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you win. Musa, I think, has done a really good job with it. I think this year it burned him a little bit because one thing that does seem, and I don't know how you evaluate this going into like when you're evaluating a player that's not on your team. But we had freshmen, and it seems like we had transfers before this that just seemed incredibly coachable. And for whatever reason, these guys, and you don't know it until halfway through the season, but these guys just do not seem like they didn't really care about being Razorbacks necessarily. They wanted to go play for Musselman, thought that it was a good move, for their career. But it just seems, just by dint of like some of the players that had a bunch of playing time, and then all of a sudden they're not starting, they're not getting playing time. You can only assume that it's from what they've done in practice, their attitudes in practice, something they said to the coaches in practice, so they're getting their minutes cut. It just seems like it's a little bit of a mess, and I don't think Musselman has, if guys don't want to be coached, I don't know if I think he's just like, I'm trying to get to these guys. I mean, he's coached how many levels of basketball? He knows how to coach basketball.
Well, that's why
these guys just seem like they're not moldable somehow. And he somehow, like you said, he went out and he got a bunch of shooters. He got what he thought was scorers. The battle looks like he should be able to score, but I can't. How many times, to the physicality point, how many times do we get into the paint and then fade away?
Even Brazil fades away.
Constantly going away from contact.
Graham's never shot a shot in his life where he wasn't fading away from the basket.
And even when they give the stat of how many times Arkansas gets to the line, sometimes I'm watching the game, I'm like, how do we get to the line so much? And I feel like have you guys ever played against someone who's not good at basketball, and it's sometimes hard not to foul them because they're just kind of,
they're doing the thing.
You didn't think they were going to go over there.
Yeah.
And so you end up fouling them somehow. And I feel like we just kind of like Mr. Magoo our way into fouls as opposed to actually taking it into their body and being the aggressor.
And also when Mark shoots 70,000 free throws, like, because he's the one guy that's like pretty dang good at getting fouled. But I think Muss references this a lot in the press conferences. He says like, this group is not like previous groups. And he said this over and over. He doesn't like individually call people out necessarily, but he's like, this group does not have the thing that other groups have. They don't have the competitive spirit. They don't have the swagger. They don't have that. And I don't know how easy it is to stick that into somebody.
Okay, but I'm going after Muss here a little bit, but there's things that do just discourage me, or like where I'm like, this feels like you should be able to coach this even at halftime. I said last podcast after Mark's game, I said, next game, Mark they better be working on practice, him passing out of double teams, because he's going to be the center focus for that. Like, he's had too many good games. He's had a 35-point game and a 31-point game. It's obvious he's our best scorer. He tries to get to the line a lot. They're going to start doubling him, or really, designing defenses around stopping Mark and make other guys score. I said, he better be looking for shooters because they're going to be coming after him. I mean, he did not. Why is he not able to? And I'm not saying Mark, but like, it looked like the plan was go get yours, Mark. And I'm not saying he's being selfish, but
I think
why didn't Musselman say at halftime, Mark, they're doubling you when you drive, when you put your head down. Would you find somebody for the love?
I don't know if there's anyone to find. I think that it'd be one thing if I was watching the game and I saw guys wide open standing around waiting for the ball. I do not.
Yeah,
They're not getting, and Muss has said this. He actually did say it after this game. We're not getting open. Like, they're not getting open. Like,
what is going on? Why can't these guys? Where is?
And here's the thing: you can only tell people to do something. Like, here's why I think that. Like,
I think we're gonna find out Musselman is a tumor.
No, like, so. Here's what
making us lose basketball games.
It's making him the guys are looking around the practice and Musselman's like standing in the corner and like they're like, I guess we'll shoot.
Dude, I think I know that. I think here's the evidence that that's not it. Like, because he's willing to play anyone that will do the things that he's telling them to do, that will play that way. Like, he's like, look how many guys he's playing, dude. Like, he is searching. He is searching all over the bench for somebody that will do these things. And like, he's got Mark. This is like what he's got. And like, honestly, to me, I feel bad for Tremont Mark because actually I think he looks frustrated. I think he would like guys, like, I can't do this all by myself.
it's gotta be so frustrating when he turns around and like, Ellis or Brazil or one of those guys is going, oh, my bad. This other guy like makes a shot.
Because he's the one guy I don't really have that many complaints about. I don't really have any complaints about Mark.
What about the big guy hitting wide open threes?
Dude, there was one time where like you had two defenders dive to the same guy, leaving the guy that just hit two threes. Like, what's happening?
He hits one and you're like, okay, well, I get it. Like, I mean, even though you should have scouted that this big man shoots threes, it's one of the things
Dude, must send in his press conference, they have colors assigned to shooters based on how good they are. And he's their best guy, and he's red.
Right. So he makes, so you percent he makes one, and you're like, okay, well, big men, it's a little atypical. So you kind of like, oh,
no, they knew, but I'm telling you that they knew.
I know they knew, but I'm just saying, like, still instinctively, you're out there and you're like, oh, frick, I'm not used to being that far out as a big man. And then he makes another one, and you're like, okay, he's a good 3-pointer. The next one, he was even more wide open.
It was almost like they were like,
progressively wider open.
No, he's just like shooting he's shooting on a freaking gun. Like he's just on the freaking shooting gun out there, like popping them from the top. That dude's probably hit 70 in a row from that spot, like on a shooting gun.
Dude, that made me so mad because after he made that third one, they called the timeout. The differential was 8 points.
Dude,
I'm like, if we don't let the center hit threes,
dude, I'm telling you,
we'd be winning by 1 point.
I'm telling you right now, this team is not coming back. No. Because to come back, you have to get defensive stops. Yeah. Like you got to win games being up 20 in the first half. Like we did.
So you can win by 1 at a last second shot. So we need to be up by 30 if we want to win by 10.
Yeah, dude. We're not. That's what I mean. Like when we got down like 12, I'm like, this game's over. We can't get enough stops to come back.
They should have mid-season, once everyone's figured out how good everyone is. They should spot teams. Like now, I think we need to get spotted about 12 points.
Like a handicap.
Yeah. It's obvious. I mean, come on, it's not fair. Our guys don't play defense. You're going to be shooting wide open. We're going to be shooting fadeaway guarded 17-footers.
And I know it looks like we're trying real hard to play defense, but we're not playing defense. We're just trying. We're running around real hard.
It sucks, dude.
Yeah, and you don't want to lose sight of the fact. And I know I'm a big softie, and these are like 18, 19-year-old kids. I think they're trying. But like you said, I think last podcast you were talking about, it does kind of look like some of them are just starting to be like, what did I give up to come to do this? And once you start thinking that, I don't know, Musselman has to battle all of that stuff. I'm putting it square on his plate for, if he didn't get the right group of guys, I think these kids are going to be playing hard, but this season is kind of, I'm rooting for just improvement, just to see these kids fight and see if they can gut out some stuff. But my dad, today we were watching it, he was like, at this point, you've got you got all these, freshmen on the bench. Would you rather just lose trying to see what you got for next year? Like, because I don't think a lot of these transfers are gonna stick at Arkansas, the ones that can, and then I
mean, it might depend on what he has in the pipeline or something, but even now, like, I mean, you can't really, you just can't trust it, because obviously, like I said, it doesn't matter how good they look, do they gel or not, you know what I mean? But dude, halfway through that game, I was watching it, and watching on the ball go up, and our guys ballerina tiptoe the ball, oh, give me that ball, and I'm like, I want Jalen Williams so Jalen Williams, when it was just anytime the ball went out, all of a sudden it was just there was a 7-foot place clear, and he was like, and I'm like, where is it? Give it to me now.
And I feel like even Mitchell, all of his physicality that he can bring to it, it just sort of dissipates into the ether when no one else is physical. He needs, the other guys have to be somewhat physical, or else.
And Mitchell's
he just
a good player, but he's just not a phenomenal. He's not like a great big man. He's a good big man. You know what I mean? He's not.
Like how many times last year might he have got a ball, fought for a ball, but Walsh was the one that kind of tipped it and kept it alive.
Yeah.
And we just don't have that.
Well, dude, even guys like this, remember Muss's second year? I think it was his second year. Like a guy like Justin Smith, just being just aggressive and physical and strong.
Beefy boy down there.
Yeah, dude.
Battling.
Yeah.
These guys are not that. But maybe he figures out how to do something with these guys. Like he might. He's a good coach. And he's got 25 coaches that sit in a section right there with him.
That's true.
Well,
all right.
Maybe we'll get him next year.
Yeah. Player of the game, Joseph Pinion. Sucked the least. No, probably Tremont Martin, I guess. Even though like his first half was not great. But.
Well, and he, like I said, he did a few things on. I think it was him on.
I just feel the worst. I just feel the worst for him.
And then he just was like, there was a guy, big man on the block, and he was the guy there. And he was like, "Oh, my man's up there." And this was one of those times where I'm like, you can't leave the guy under the basket to go guard your player without handing him off to somebody. And then if you watch that play, Ellis is coming down the court and he's like about at the 3-point line. And Mark just leaves the guy and goes and guards the guy that I think it was either Brazil or somebody was up guarding the guard and was like, I think going to send him back. But then Ellis is standing like at 17 feet and going, well, who am I supposed to guard? And then someone's just like, oh, I'll just pass to that guy that's nobody's guarding and he'll just.
Also, like, because we like blocking shots so much, there was numerous times where we looked like we'd never seen a head fake before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, it's just like, yeah, you bought the shot, but what if I act like I'm going to shoot it right now? Oh, you just up now. By the way, when Gray, like, there's the other thing, is they had like full grown men on that team.
Right? I know some of they had a couple of those guys that look like they're 40, but they're 20.
Yeah, we don't have any of those guys on our team. But like when that guy got the ball, isolate, it was just him and Jalen Graham, and like everyone's just like staying out, and like he starts backing down. I was like, this ends exactly the way I think it ends, which is you just getting overpowered to the rim, dude. Like it's.
I know, I can't tell you how sad it makes me when like you got the guy and it's like he's got a freaking man mustache. He looks like he's like Denzel Washington or something. Like he's like 50 years old, and then it cuts over to Brazil, and he's like going like this. He's like, oh, let me see, is my hair right? Okay, cool. I'm like,
yeah, it's that one. What was their big guy's name? Just shoulders like huge.
They had a couple of them, Gray, and then
Mac was the guy.
Mac,
shoot,
Mac,
and yeah, he was a ton. But that one guy was just. I mean, he would just get the ball and just shoulder in, and I was like, we don't have a guy.
Tell you what, dude, if Kamani Johnson had eligibility, he'd be playing 40 minutes a game on this team. Whereas Kamani Johnson, this was your man, you needed to be 1 year younger, bro. Like you'd be getting all the minutes in this game.
And that is, you see Bay Fall go in there, and you're like, you're not that guy either.
No, it's another guy that when he runs, he's like galloping.
It's another guy. It's another guy that every time he jumps, you're like, and you're very scared to death of the landing. Like, don't break anything. I said that as a skinny guy.
So I think we solved all the problems.
Yeah.
Arkansas will come coach for you next year. Sign the contract tomorrow.
I'll do it for half price.
We'll do it for half the price.
When we broke down the games we had to win, this was one of them, right?
Oh, dude, this is about like
getting better.
That's not a bad team though. Like, no. What were they? 15 and
it's just that we're in such dire straits.
We're not
win our home games.
We're not, guys. Barring like Musselman's greatest feat yet, we are not going to the tournament. Like
we're basically already to the place where it's like maybe we can go on a run in the tournament, in the SEC tournament, and steal that. Maybe all of Kentucky's players' legs will fall off and we'll somehow win. Maybe.
That's the only way we make it.
Auburn gets their whole team has COVID run through them, new kind, the bad kind, and then Kentucky has 3 or 4 injuries. We get hot and we run through the SEC tournament and boom, we're right in there.
Apparently South Carolina needs to have both of their big guys. Like, I mean, you guys know that South Carolina was missing like a really important piece tonight too, like sitting there on the bench.
Yeah, I remember that guy too.
Yeah, like so, I don't know.
Yes, well, by the way, so was the team we beat by 1 point in the last second. They were also missing their big.
I know this is for sure. If you think there are any guaranteed wins for Arkansas going forward, you are mistaken. Like you think Vanderbilt, like, oh, that should be. Dude, no, it's not.
No, we don't have any guaranteed wins.
No,
No, and this is where we're like, when we play in Missouri or Vanderbilt and be like, ooh, I have to win this game. Like this could be interesting.
This one might be
It
close.
might still be a game and with 10 minutes to go.
Yeah. All right, we gotta run. Cause we got people waiting in the other room. So we're out.
We gotta go watch football and UFC.
Yeah, we're out. See you guys.